Welcome back to Art with Miss Kelly. And guess what? I decided to have my little brother here with me. And oh, yes. Hey, Tucker, look at the tape. Yeah, say hi to him. Say hello. Well, anyway, I just thought I would show him this little fella again because I just love him so much. He's just my little buddy. He's been going on walks with me. But speaking of walks, I wanted to share a couple little stories with you. One happened last night. We so happened to have a skunk living under the stairs right over here at my mom and dad's house. And I thought the skunk had left, right? So I went out there late last night to smell because you can smell the thing. And I went down there and was sniffing around and I couldn't smell it. I'm like, that skunk left. That's great because we don't want Tucker to get sprayed by the smelly skunk. So anyhow, I'm over there sniffing away and all of a sudden this horrible creature sound came from the woods and made me scream at the top of my lungs. I was like, "Rear!" And I was like, I screamed and all of a sudden the skunk sprayed and it didn't directly get me, but it definitely got on my arm a little bit and I went running inside and I thought my dad had gone around and scared me, but there was actually a
Cat.
what kind of cat? A feral?
Feral cat.
Feral, the ones that just roam around. So my dad went out there and heard the skunk dart into the woods. So we got a skunk, and I will keep you posted. We got to get rid of this thing. But the other cool story is that we have, if Dad looks out into the woods here, they live in the woods, there is a wood duck family, a mom and a dad, and they have built, you can't see where particularly their nest is, but there's a big hole in one of the trees out there. And we saw the two mama and dads flying around, and Dad said, "Hey, do you know how these wood ducks, the babies are hatched?" So they and I might have Dad point into these nests so you guys can start looking at these little nests. So they have a special way. These are special nests that we have from different birds, and I'll explain this in a minute. But the one, and you can just be looking at them while I tell you the story. The little baby wood ducks are hatched inside the hole of this tree, which is like 50 feet up and really, 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 really high up into the air. And they have little claws that God made them that just claw their way up the interior of that trunk, and they get into the little hole space.
Their feet have claws.
Little feet, yeah, the little webbed feet have these little claws on them, like you can see the little duck web. And they get to the hole and they leap off onto the ground and they just bounce. It's so funny, but they just fly. And they can't fly; they just fall. But God's created them in some way that they don't splat. They make it, and they all. So he was showing me a video last night. It was funny, but look at this. This is so cool. So this is little. What's the bird here, Dad?
Peewee.
Little peewees in his barn. These are made out of horsehair, little Bella tail hair from our horse, and then these two are made more out of mud, real substantial, and those are Robin. Dad's gonna help me with this. This little guy made it out of feathers, and this one is
Barn swallow.
a barn swallow, which I thought is so cool. There is like a nest underneath it. If you take all these feathers away, you can see like the hay and different stuff. I don't know if you can see that, but and then this little guy is the real eggs.
Ground swallow.
And this is what
Sparrow.
a little sparrow. Look at, they even found like something man-made. Isn't that funny to put in their nest to like try to? And these are our favorite. My dad has hummingbirds out here, and that God has landed. And how many will you get at one time? Sometimes, Dad.
Oh, 50 or 60.
50 or 60 drinking off of his little like sugar water things that he's. But that's their little teeny nest. It's so sweet. So isn't that fun? Oh, well, I just wanted to go ahead and say shh, because this is going to be a Mother's Day surprise today, because Sunday is Mother's Day. And so even if you don't do this lesson before Mother's Day, you can give it to your mother for a surprise. So either way, it's a win-win. But I wanted to read a verse to you today that just kind of talks about how we can be with our mothers. And this is my Bible, and I love to journal and write in my Bible and draw pictures. But in Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, it says, "Put on then as God's chosen one, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience." So those are just some of the things that you can be towards your mama, especially this week, like always, but really thinking extra special about being kind. And you could make her a little coupon book of things that you could do around the house, and she could rip it out and say, "Hey, here's my vacuum coupon." And so just be thinking about giving her a little back rub, giving her extra hugs, seeing how you can help with dishes. So it's just a real special time to make mom feel special. But what we're going to do today is we are going to make this. A lot of times in Miss Kelly's class, we'll take fresh flowers home and we'll do a pot. And today we're gonna go ahead and paint a pot. And you're going to need your watercolors. You're going to need a paper towel and a pencil and your, oh, well, these aren't your watercolors. These are paintbrushes and your watercolors, okay? And that's how we're going to make it today. So we're going to pray and then we will get started, okay? Dear Jesus, we just come to you now, Father, and we just want to say a special thanks for all those little critters, even the smelly skunks and the wood ducks and just all that you've created to make us enjoy. We thank you for those things, but we just praise you so much for moms and just how sacrificially they are. I just know all these mamas that these kiddos at Potter's Clay have. I've met them and I just love them so much, and they're such special moms, just devoting their times to like teaching their kids at home and just teaching them about you and Lord, and just loving them so well. And we just praise you for them, and we just pray that they just feel extra special this week, and that the kiddos will be able to really think of special ways to make them feel loved and with your strength. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, so let's get going here. You're going to grab your pencil, right? And you're going to look at your pencil and you're going to lay that down at the middle of your page. And you can see here that the pot kind of starts right, kind of a little bit lower than the middle. So what I'm going to have you do is just lightly, because we're really probably not going to even see some of that line, just real light. I'm going to draw dark, remember the rule, but you go light in case you need to erase it. Okay, so take that line and you can shape your pot however you want. This particular pot is just more straight up and down. And as you can see, I kind of made this one a little bit more flared out. So you could round yours, so I'm going to go with the flared out. So it's going to be an angle on each side. And just the thing you want to do is you're going to angle the opposite way on the other side. If you want to find a ruler or something, okay, so just kind of try to match it. Then going to take it across, and then we're going to make one line at the bottom, and then we're going to do another line and another line. All right, and you can space them however you want. All right, did I do 3 lines? Okay, one more line. One more line. Boop. So it's 3 sections. All right, so that's what we're going to do there. And we'll just wait for the top right now. So what I want you to do is get your paintbrush, and this is going to be fun because this is like just funzers. I want you to find, this is like a hydrangea bouquet, so we're going to go with blues. Wedgwood is my absolute favorite dishware, and it's like a solid white base, and then it's got blue flowers painted all over, and I have Wedgwood in one of my rooms. I just love it so much. I wish I had one out here, but I don't. But that really gives you the idea. It's just lots of blue today. So what you're going to do is think about clusters of flowers to start with. So wet your brush real good, get your blue, and dab it on the paper towel so you're not just dripping blue. Dab, dab, and then go onto your page. And I'm going to get a better brush. You want to get a brush where you're going to see a little circle flaring out a bit. I'm kind of experimenting with which brush I think is going to work best for that. It needs to be on a little bit the bigger side. So let me try this one. Yeah, I think I like this one. It's making the dots. So you kind of want to see dots show up. So there's one cluster of blue. All right. Then you're going to go up here and you can space them out however you want. There's going to be another one. All right, you might not keep needing more water. You kind of just control that, but you don't want to get too much water so it's not just puddling around. And look at that. You can kind of let the white kind of space through it. And then we're going to do another one. And you're just going to lay down these circle dotty things all over, all right? Well, the fun thing is we're going to take it and get that more water down there. Got a little more water. And here's one down here. And we're going to take kind of down off the pot, like drooping off the pot a bit. Okay, so that one's going to go down. I'm going to take one over here. Dad, you keep an eye open for that skunk, will you? Telling you now. He was messing with me last night. I've never heard a cat made that noise. I bet some of you guys have kitties. I know a few of you do because some of you live on a farm. Those cats just like to hang around those farms. So, all right, so you get the idea. So we're just kind of filling it in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want more. See, we're going to fill it all in. So here's another one. And maybe you'll make one a little bit smaller in spaces just to kind of fill. I'm going to get one drooping down here. Yours don't have to be where mine are. You get it? It's just this idea of trying to create what kind of gives you this illusion of these clusters of big bally flowers. Hydrangeas are just these big balls. Okay, one more here. All right, maybe there. All right, fill that in a bit. All right, just a little bit of that white space you're filling in. All right, so there we go. So we got to let that dry because we're going to do this in layers. So now get a teeny weeny itsy bitsy fine brush. You want something that's going to be able to give you a lot of teeny detail. So hopefully you have one of those at home. And if not, no worries. You can make this stuff a little bit bigger and bolder. But you're going to take it here and you're just going to draw. And you can't, and you know, when you're doing this, guys, and you're like, oh, Miss Kelly, it's so hard to see. I'm like, just let your hand just kind of flow, follow it down. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Then you're going to go across with it. No. Right? And get more paint. And then I'm kind of going in with 2 colors of blue. I have this darker cobalt blue that I'm doing for the base for my Wedgwood. It's called Wedgwood, if you can say that. Wedgwood dishes. And this is a Wedgwood pot that we're making Mama. So first thing you want to do, and just find, like, I'm sure on your palette you have at least a couple different colors of blue. Just make that contrast a little bit. Maybe one color here and the rest down here. So the first row, the middle row, we're going to do dots. Oh, see, my dots are pretty bubbly. They're going to probably burst out. That's okay. The neat thing about Wedgwood is it actually is hand painted. So it doesn't have like this perfect like print made to it. These are like hand painted pots that people make. So, and you can make the designs that you want to make. I just kind of am going with this pattern, and if you want to follow mine, dab it with a paper towel because, you know, it will run and make that big runny thing if you don't get that water, extra water off. You're better off dabbing, and if you have to add more paint, then you're okay. So get some more water on there. Now we're going to add, these are big clusters of petals and a big ball. These are going to be like little roselets. So we're not going to do dots. We're going to go swirl, 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 swirl. All right? Same thing. Just find another spot and go swirl, 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 swirl. You know? Kind of like that. This is just the first stage of them because we're going to let these dry and then we're going to add a little more to them. Just kind of little swirls. You know, just kind of have fun with that. And you can put them any which way you want. And I know, boys, remember this is for your mom, so that's why we're doing flowers today. But I have a commercial. Next week, we're going to make a gecko. So if anybody has pictures of a gecko, or maybe you have a lizard at home, like your pet, send me pictures and I'm going to copy them off and I'm going to show the kids. Or you can catch a lizard. I don't know. Are they out yet, Dad?
Some.
All right. So you might be able to,
geckos.
you might, if your mom and dad says it's okay, maybe you could even, you know, capture one just for a short amount of time to get a little picture of it. And so then we're going to do a gecko. I know, not geckos. We're going to make a lizard. We have lizards in Missouri.
Right.
But geckos are more tropical, but we're going to do a gecko. We're more tropical and bright colors. Okay, so now you see what I'm doing, guys. I'm making these little vines. Whee! And look, it's like, whoa! You know, it's just have fun with it. You don't have to, and we'll wait on this line. Don't do anything with that line yet, okay, guys? So we're going to let that dry. We're not done with that. Now we're going to go in with our bigger brush again. So grab your brush, and I want you to dab some green, all right? So get the green, whatever, you should have several colors of green. We're going to start, at least probably you have 2 colors of green. And if you don't, then we can do something with yellow if you don't. So now you guys are leaf experts. So make some leaves here and there in your pot of flowers, okay? Some of them just kind of coming off the side, you know, and just any which way you want. And it's just kind of looks like the shape of a lemon, you know, boop. You just kind of boop on one side, boop on the other, and fill it in. Boop, and you kind of give it a little point, you know. It's just that lemon shape kind of thing. You can keep going over them a little bit more than one time. That one kind of went in there. All right, and then it's kind of fun to have like maybe one kind of out over here, maybe one inside of it. And then get my some more water. Now careful, this part, dab your brush. Dab your brush on the paper towel because you don't want this to be too runny, but you're going to kind of make a vine kind of just swooping down on one side with the petals, a couple leaves coming off. And then, I don't know, I think just maybe one. And then maybe a few little vines kind of coming in here and there. All right, so now we're going to I feel like we need another leaf. I feel like we need a couple more in here. Maybe one here. What do you think, Dad? Maybe right here. One down. All right. So let that dry. Don't bother the leaves for a minute. Now guess what we're going to do? Because if you can look over here again, how I've done some contrast. So it's like the darker to the lighter. Now you're going to take your Wedgwood color, that cobalt. Hopefully you have a little bit darker blue. But if you don't, it'll even show up darker if you're using the same color. If you only have, I only have the same one color, Miss Kelly, that's fine. It'll still show up darker. In fact, I'll go ahead and just use the same color in case that's your situation. And you'll see that it's still going to be darker. So what you want to do is you kind of want to remember, oh, okay, these were where my flowers were, the little bundle. And you're going to take this a little bit heavier, less water, more paint, and you're going to dot just kind of at the bottom of each one, you know, just not all over, because then you won't see the contrast. Then you're just going to see solid dark then. Just at the bottom of each little bloop, just start giving it a little extra pop, right? See, so you can see the contrast even with, and I will take a little bit of my cobalt now, in case you guys have more than one color. And you're just going to go kind of stay at the bottom of those flowers. Just think lower, not upper. And then the lower part of this bloop, you know, and you can kind of fill in the white spaces a little bit more with it. A little bit down here. All right. Down in here. Ooh, see my dots. I don't really want to try to make them dots because that kind of defines like the little petal. Right, so you kind of, and you can even add more, you know, like things that you didn't even have added. So let's see, maybe I feel like I want to do one more kind of down, a little bit darker in there to get some of that white space out. If you got a lot of big chunks of white space, just go ahead and get rid of those with a little bit more of this dark. All right, so we'll let that dry and go back and get your teeny brush again. This one, get your cobalt blue, that darker color you were using on the bottom. And now we're just going to kind of just fill that in a little bit more. Now that it's dried, it's going to give you a little bit darker and add quite a bit of, like just a little bit more darker to your brush. And you're just going to fill those little roselets in a smidge more. All right. Yep.
Coming up on 18 minutes.
18. We're doing pretty good, folks. All right. So you can add that little part in the flower, you know, that kind of shows that. You can go a little, you can just keep adding a little bit wisps. And now we're going to kind of deal with this. You're wanting to let that pot peek through there a bit, okay? So, and if you want to, this is where it might get just a little tricky because you've got things you got to work around, but I think you guys can handle it. And if you want to skip this step, that's fine. So you're kind of like finding your lines at the top where you've, let's get my paint here. You're kind of matching what you did on the bottom to the top. And you can make those lines across. Right, so then what we'll do is we'll make some designs up there a smidge, but you kind of have to, don't do it through your flower. You kind of, it's like the flower's hidden, hiding some of it. And then we'll put our dot. Dab your water, remember, because sometimes that just goes so big if you don't dab it on the paper towel. I did that last week, didn't I? Of course, if you do, you can just dry it off a little bit with a piece of paper towel. So then you have the like design kind of going on top. All right, so now keep your little brush, but really rinsey. And we're going to go with a different color green. I'm going to pick a darker green now, and we're going to add a little detail into our leaves. All right, so you're going to go in the middle and give it that middle line. Kind of get them in there and just start swooping out your middle line on each leaf. All right, and you take your time with this. Miss Kelly's kind of racing along here a bit, you know, and kind of gonna get those going and boop, 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 find our middle line. Then you can even find a different color green maybe, you know, it just depends how many greens are on your palette, and it doesn't have to be different. And then you're gonna do your little veins, and that you can do yours however you want. You know, you could go straight across. I kind of do mine at a little bit of an angle, you know, where they're swooping up, but you can make them straight across. You know, it's however you want to make your little leaf, because that's the fun part. There's so much variety in nature, isn't there? And so there, take that, you know, and then you can kind of just start using the sides of that to like give it a little bit more shading and contrast. So you can even take some of the paint you've used for your hands. Get the one, I forgot that one, didn't I? So then if you're really going crazy with this, you can actually add add even another green color, or you could add a smidgen of brown or yellow, you know, to the leaf to give it some contrast. Just have fun, you know. I won't go into a ton of detail on this, but you guys can just take your time with these leaves and really add some fun to them, and add that extra color inside, you know, the little vines that are kind of connecting the leaves. Put that in your bouquet for mom, you know. And it doesn't have to be anything perfect. So down in here, getting the idea. So I think, oh yeah, I forgot one last thing. So what we're going to finish up with is you're going to take a little bit of your blue that kind of was part of your original flower, and you're going to take the bottom and just go right on one side, go under it, and then right on the other. And it can be lighter on one side and darker on the other. Just give it like it's not floating in the air. It's just kind of on a table for mom, sitting there all pretty. And if you want to, you can, yeah, I think I was going to say you could write a message on it, but, and this is the Deliosers. You could take, once this dries, you could erase some of those lines that I made. You know, once it dries a little bit, you can go back and do that a smidge if you want to. I might finish those little pot pieces, might kind of take that a little bit so that it doesn't look so, or you can erase it either way. This one was more hidden if you want to, was more hidden, but I wanted to show you that line with the pencil, but you may even skip that step and not even have that pencil line there, so you can hide that line from happening. Or this one right here, you just don't even hardly need that pencil line. Just add it, just do the sides so you don't see that. But anyhow, I had so much fun being with you today, and look for those little lizards. Okay, we'll see you next week.